Good morning. It's Monday, June 2nd. I'm Phil Streible, Chief Market Strategist at Blue Line Futures. So, looking at the markets overnight, not only the commodities, but the U.S. equities, some wild swings here going on with the S&P 500 lower here, about 0.5%, trading at 58.88. Remember, 59.50, 59.75. Your upside resistant point here, and the market's starting to work its way a bit lower here. This comes after more tariff drama with the U.S. and China accusing each other of violating the trade deal. So you do have the S&P 500 down about 0.5%, the Nasdaq down about 129 points, the Russell sitting at 2060, down 8 points here, and the FANG stocks all a bit lower here, down about 1%. So seasonally, remember, past performance not indicative of future results. June has been the third worst month for the S&P 500. Historically, we're flat, and it's due to the start of the summer holiday season. We just also came off our best May performance since 1990, so it's natural that markets are taking a bit of a step back here. Now, you do have U.S. oil and also steel stocks in focus, with gold, copper, and silver prices all rising as the dollar index falls about 0.5%. The dollar has been down for about 5 consecutive months here, with Morgan Stanley forecasting that the U.S. dollar will fall 9% to hit about 91 around this time next year. So that's for 1 year price target on the downside, while JP Morgan recommends bets on the euro and also the yen and Australian dollar. We do have oil prices rising after OPEC Plus hiked production less than expected. So they typically come out with the forecasted number that was 411,000, and they usually try and exceed that, and it puts pressure on prices. However, they came in line with expectations, and you're also seeing a bit of they're arguing amongst each other here on what they should be doing. So put some uncertainty here in the oil market. And you also have rising geopolitical tensions overnight. So you got crude oil futures up about 4%. That's $2.60 at 63.39. So a big boost higher here in the oil market. You also have the White House said that tariffs on steel imports will double to about 50% from 25% next week. So you're seeing that ripple effect in the gold market, silver, and also copper. Now, today's economic data will have ISM manufacturing, and Fed Chairman Jerome Powell will speak at noon. So you got gold futures up about 2% on that increasing demand for safe haven assets with the tensions between the U.S. and China. And you have an escalating conflict here going on between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine launched some long-range drone attacks inside of Russia, targeting a lot of military assets. So there's a big escalation going on right there. Gold futures back at the top end of the bull flag. Now, if you look at copper prices up about 4%, not only is it getting that benefit here from steel and that tariff that's being proposed, but also you have in Congo, you have a flooded mine here, and that's the latest threat to the world's copper supply. You look at ETF flows here, the exchange traded funds, they did cut about 75,000 troy ounces of gold holdings in the previous session here, while on the silver side, they added about 2.92 million ounces. So another big boost here on those ETF flows going into the silver market. Palladium holdings increased about 42,000. That's the most since October 2nd, 2015. So people are really starting to identify some of these other outside metals here as potential targets to the upside. So you look at last week's changes, and gold, they added about 350,000. On silver, they added 3 million. They reduced some of their holdings on platinum, about 12,000, and then they increased their palladium holdings by about 43,000 ounces. So you look at the flows here. Year-to-date percentage change, gold up 6.5%, silver up 3.5%. You got the gold-silver ratio sitting at 101-1. So big. It's the boost in the safe haven aspect in that gold market and the rising trade tensions. That's where the disconnect starts to come in here. But I would assume that with gold prices up $50, with copper futures up about 19 cents, we could see some additional flows into that silver market here today. Now, OPEC, again, they increased their production a little bit less than expected, so that's where you get these objections going on between some of the members out there, the rising geopolitical concerns that strike with Ukraine and Russia, and that's why oil price up about $2.50 here. So really, it's the dollar index trading a bit lower. You also have the equity futures trading a bit lower. Wheat futures, because of those rising tensions, boosting up here a bit. But other than that, no real standouts. Bitcoin flat at about 105,000. It's going to be a really busy week here for economic data. So, you guys got any questions? Give us a call here. Shoot an email at info@bluelinefutures.com. I'll update the chart pack, send that out here today because of the fact that we got big moves here in a lot of different commodity markets running into some resistance, also other markets running into some support. So we will want to identify all that. So if you got any questions, again, shoot an email, info@bluelinefutures.com. Remember, futures and option trading does involve risk of loss, may not be suitable to all investors. Good luck, good trading.